Step one, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step two, get some good, some food in you. Step three, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step four, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo. Set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 So life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. I always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they rot. Head full of flies, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause it's sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step two, get some good, some food in you. Step three, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step four, everybody just do your thing.
I know I'm muted now. Hey, y'all. We got Smiley. Smiley, it's so good to see you, love bug. I plugged your ungodly, lengthy interview into the system. My system literally went berserk, and I literally had to start all over today. That's what took me so long. I'm like, no! It went on the frets. It was just too much. It was too much, but we got it worked out. 20 pages it spit out to me today. 20 pages. So for all of you that are coming in, we're going to say hi to each other before we get started, because I know there's a lot of people that have been very interested in what this AI is able to do with all of these interviews. Now, granted, we're just focusing on Chris and Katie. Why? Because of the obvious, okay? We're the true crime community. You know, this is really kind of looking like a lot of our other cases. Our other cases have mommies and daddies involved. We got a father that's right now. We were just covering a case this morning about Jonathan Bully, 5-year-old little boy that went to his father's for a Christmas vacation and has been missing since the day after Christmas. They're not saying it like that. He was reported missing the day before his mom was coming to get him, but according to the trail cameras, a dog that was a common occurrence on a trail camera on a daily basis, that common occurrence ceased to exist as of December 26th. So there's a dog and a child that is missing. And it is alleged that this child and dog have been missing since December 26th. Was the last known sighting of the dog. Now, since the dog disappeared with the kid, The kid, the dog hasn't been seen on the trail camera since December. 26 has always been seen daily on the trail camera. We said this morning, we believe this is not going to turn out well. There were explosive devices. I anticipated an arrest on those explosive devices. And lo and behold, we do now officially have a father that is arrested on explosive devices unrelated to his son. So we kind of see where law enforcement's going with this case. It's, SOP, standard operating procedure, right? And so there's standing operating procedures going on. So please keep Jonathan and his mom and family in your prayers, okay? I can't imagine sending, so many of us have to deal with that, right? We've got a lot of single mommies in here. We've got a lot of, blended families. And so you guys have good working, some of you guys have good working relationships, in co-parenting and stuff like that. But, it's hard to believe that you can send your child off with their parent and that parent hurt them. There has to be a reason why mommy and daddy split up. I would have hoped that it wasn't violence related, but clearly there's explosive devices around this child's home, okay? Where this child was staying. I'm absolutely confident mommy would have never sent her child to this home if she had any clue about these devices. Now, did the father hurt him or did he go kaboom with playing with one of the devices? Listen, I have no earthly idea. All I know is a dog disappeared with him. So it could go either way. It could go, in my mind, the way my mind's thinking, it could go that this child was around the dog and stepped on something and kaboom, and the father tried to hide it. Or it could have been something where the father lost his cool and started hitting on the child. The dog, being a Labrador, like I said, will light your ass up. Many people see those Labradors as docile animals, and they are, until they need to jump into action. And like I said, the Labrador that was in this house, I worried more about the Labrador, the sweet little girl, Layla, sweet little Layla, right? But America, my blue-eyed pit. Now, she looked mean, but she was just a dopey little dog that just love, okay? You're not getting, if somebody broke in this house, America would have been the first one under a bed, okay? It would have been Layla that I would have worried about. She would have lit into your butt, right? So, is it possible that this father was hurting this child and the dog jumped in to protect this child and also succumb to those injuries of whatever was going on? And the answer is yes. Those two scenarios are absolutely plausible. But that's not why we're here. We're here because of Sebastian Rogers. He's a 15-year-old autistic boy that disappeared from his Hendersonville, Tennessee home, allegedly between midnight and 6 a.m. on Monday, February 26, 2024, and Sunday, February 25th. Now, Sunday, which was the day before his disappearance, the family allegedly had this normal day. And I'm going to go off script a little bit because I don't know if it was ever established that this was a normal day. I mean, Katie kept saying this was a normal day. I think even in your interview, Smiley, she might even have said that, the day was fairly normal or something to that effect. But many people asked and they refused to answer. And I don't know if it was on your show or if it was on other shows, but I remember them asking, is this something common that they did on the weekends? Were they usually this active? And that is one of the answers that they refused to answer. And I don't understand why that was such a problem to answer. It seems like such a standard question, but I remember it being answered several times, and I remember Chris getting frustrated. I think that'll be developing on the web sleuths. I'm pretty sure they hit that on the web sleuths as well, and he lost his shit. And I just, it just makes me, kind of weirded, like, why, But anyways, Sunday allegedly was fairly normal. Katie and Sebastian got up. We don't even know what time they got up. It's always been very unclear. The morning has been very, the Sunday morning, you would think that they would be, wanting to give us a play-by-play, But it seems like, they have intentionally left this vagueness about what happened Sunday. So we're going to kind of go through it, but we don't really have too many times to plug, specific times to plug in. So the day before his disappearance, obviously the family stated he had a normal day. We learned during the Chronicles of Olivia interview a little more detail about the morning of, and Katie stated that they made spaghetti pancakes, which is kind of like this, I don't know what they call that. What do they call that thing? But it's like a funnel cake, but pancake mix. And this is what they call a fun breakfast. And Sebastian was really excited about it and FaceTimed some family to brag about it. Now, again, all of this information, all these finite details came much later in the disappearance of Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. And so they ended up picking up a niece. I have to say that this has to be late morning because the way that they explain it, but I hate assuming that. I really do. I hate assuming that this happened later in the morning, but it just seems to go better. 9, 10 o'clock is when they had breakfast. Then they were off to BJ's at 11. They left BJ's before noon, according to Chris in another interview. So, she picked up a niece, shopped at BJ's. Sebastian ate a popcorn bowl, dined out. Sebastian was wearing jeans, tennis shoes, a black shirt with a logo on it, returned home. Sebastian took the trash to the end of the driveway. That was his chore. He went to bed around 9. He said, "Good night, Mama. Good night, puppies. I love you." Katie later incorporated a noise around 10 p.m. We have to remember that this 10 p.m., she also stated at 10 p.m. that she was falling asleep on the couch, right? So it seems odd that she's screaming across the house while falling asleep on the couch. But, these are just nuances that clearly the system isn't picking up on. I have to tweak some things. So she hollered in there for him to go to sleep. Chris, the stepfather, was on the phone with Katie about 9:43 until midnight when she was falling asleep, and he told her to go to bed. Midnight on February 26, according to Katie and Chris, Katie went to bed and the house was locked. A coded keypad on the front door that Sebastian routinely locks behind himself. These are all the information that they've provided to us. Now, it's, obviously vague in how I'm providing it to you, but you guys are following the key timeline here. So on February 26th, that reminds me, I could probably put this up behind me. Why didn't I think of that? I don't know. I'm so sorry. I would like to add, I didn't spend a whole lot of time on this, but I would still like to add a source, and it is an image source, and it is the timeline. But we'll go TM for SRW. Oops. DR. There we go. TL, not TM, TL. Okay, let me get this behind us. And then I'll still have to share it on the, is this the one? This looks like the one. There we go. No, this is not the one. Hell. Hold on. I gotta find it. That's the one I fixed. Disappearance. AI. Gotta love it, but gotta hate it all the same. Gotta love it, gotta hate it all the same. Okay, so I had to kind of prepare this little, thumbnail looking thing, and it didn't pick up the pictures because I didn't plug in any pictures, so I ended up having to go and retroactively add those in. So you guys kind of see what's going on here. Let me put this on the Let me put this on the vertical as well. Sorry, guys. Good gracious. And this will be TLSDR. There we go. So for all of you folks, let's go ahead and get to it. We're almost done. I had to fix everything, so it was, you guys could all... Dad, burn it. I can't find it now. I can't find it. I'm going to take this off. Shit. Well, you folks on the vertical might not see it. I'm going to try one more time, and if I can't get it without all this trouble, then you guys are just going to have to come over to the horizontal. You're going to have to come over to the horizontal. Okay, I'm just saying. It's not cooperating. It's not cooperating. There we go. Finally getting some cooperation around here. All right, so we see it. It's kind of the timeline. Let me condense it so the people on the vertical chat can see a little bit more of it. I think you guys get the gist of it. Hold on, let me just get it one more time. Try to get it in all on the screen. Okay, there we go. All right, guys, that should help you out. There you go. Everybody's got the timeline on the screen, okay? This right here is just kind of a visual aid as I walk you guys through the rest of this, okay? So, again, Katie was on the phone with Chris from 9:43 to midnight when she fell asleep. She went to bed at midnight. She locked the house. The house was locked. There's only a coded keypad on the front door. Sebastian routinely locks behind himself. At 6 a.m., February 26, Katie woke up Sebastian. I like how they say that. Katie woke up Sebastian for school and he was gone. But that was kind of her statement. She woke him up and that's when he wasn't there, I think is what she said. She searched the house. This was condensed, so it went from 3 minutes or several times to 3 minutes to 1 minute flat. She called Chris three-wayed the Sumner County Sheriff's Department. Deputies arrived 10 minutes later but minutes later, a little bit verbiage, but not really out of context. And then on February 26th afternoon, Chris drove home from Memphis, about a 3.5-hour drive, and arrived late afternoon after being kicked off of his job site. So post-disappearance, we had a massive search, dogs, helicopters, divers, National Guard. Parents were vetted. We were learning that the parents were cleared, and then law enforcement stepped in and said nobody had been cleared. We knew that Katie had a polygraph test. She states she passed her polygraph test. Many people have problems with that highly, right? I don't know which it is. I'm not there. I can, assume that I don't believe she passed her polygraph test, but my assumptions don't, matter one iota. We have nobody that has confirmed one way or another whether or not either one have been cleared publicly. So no matter how we look at this, when it comes to the polygraphs, we're taking secondhand information. So I would really say it's time for us not to be focusing on things we can't 100% state that, yes, this is accurate. Sorry, I keep hitting my microphone. That this is accurate, okay? So if we don't know, it's a rumor. Okay, if we can't factually find out concrete information or confirm it by multiple sources, then it has to be taken as rumor. That's why it's so hard for me to walk away from this alleged, Kathy Bowersock sighting near Warsham's. It's because of the level and the amount of people, even if they didn't see her specifically in the car and just have assumed it was her based on seeing her car in the news. The bottom line is they believe they saw somebody parked on the side of the road that appeared to be somebody that has a vehicle, a like vehicle of Kathy Bowersock's at a very unusual time in the morning. Nobody should have been there. The schools weren't open, so nobody should be dropping the kids off at that time. Nobody had any reason to be parked on the side of the road for as many minutes. And you might say, well, Betty, we should not be taking phone calls while we're driving. And that's why there has been leaps and bounds made in our automobiles to make sure that we have hands-free calling. And I want to think that the type of car that they saw, because they believe it was that Infiniti that she's driving around, and let's face it, that Infiniti costs some big bucks, right? Even the older ones. As long as it's 2011 or newer, it's got Bluetooth capabilities. That means that car is hands-free. So if she had to take a call, why would she be pulling off? And if she did have to pull off, or if it was a third party and not her, and they just had to pull off, why would they be pulling off? Most people will say, text me that information, email me that information. They're not going to pull off to the side of the road and write down information at 5:30 in the morning in what appears to be pretty dark area, or a darker area. It doesn't seem very safe, The strangest thing to me was her window was up. I think that's a great assessment, Smiley. I really do, because that's been my contention, especially breaking down yesterday and the day before, because one thing that we noticed with just the first two interviews, the 3-3 and the 3-4, Katie was the one with the most past tense phrases when referring to Sebastian. And what I found awfully funny is that it wasn't Chris that omitted certain key details in the timeline. It was Katie that was omitting the details. It was Katie omitting that she ever even left the house. It seemed like she omitted that detail until she had to pony up the information or get in front of it, because law enforcement is like, but you left the house. When did you leave the house and why? Oh, well, that was before we called you. I was just driving around the neighborhood. And then she has to say it in the next interview to incorporate it in. But it was such a wild stretch, that we went from her waking up, realizing Sebastian's missing, quickly searching the house, immediately calling Chris, where he immediately called law enforcement, is much different than she woke up, searched the house, got on the phone with Chris, drove around the neighborhood, and then ultimately, 30 minutes later, they decide to call law enforcement. You see how weird that is? So there was just some major oddities with that whole morning. And then to hear that she was out and about in the car was equally perplexing, especially when, Smiley Story World is talking about, with her windows up. Especially when by the time we get to the Chronicles of Olivia, or the Hands interview, I believe, she's talking about being hysterical. I can tell you the images that I seen from the mob crew did not show a hysterical Katie. We all know what hysterical people look like. Well, let me throw it to the chat. Let me not assume anything. I want to thank you folks for being here. We got 33 or 36 people in the vertical chat. Thank you for being there. Who is that? Maria, it looks like you already came over. Who else is in there? Some other people watching. Reba, it's nice to see you. Denise, Ganja Girl, Peppermint Patty. Ooh, I bet you're a spicy peppermint. No, I'm just joking. Dolly, Cinderella, Pat, it's nice to see you guys. I hope you guys are doing well. And of course, we're a little bit larger in our main chat, so it's going to be hard for me to say hi to you guys. But I will say hi to you as I see your name come up, like Sonia, Pebbles, Cinderella, Patricia, Linda. It's nice to see you all here this evening. But when we watch the mob crew, one thing that's very noticeable, maybe he needs to blow it up a little bit better. I'll leave that to mob crew. I don't have those images. I guess I could go pull them. Or if somebody wants to pull them, if somebody has them available, send them to me and let the mods know so they know to text me. Let me turn my text on. So they know to text me. Hold on just a second. There we go. But they can text me and let me know, and we'll blow them up here on the channel and see if we can see her face, because I'm pretty confident we did look at that, because they were trying to see if they could see some earbuds in her ears, check to see if the window was down and stuff like that. And I'm pretty confident that there was no window down in any of the photos. And she states, I'm almost certain that she was, calling his name out. But we'll get down to that. We'll start asking the system more pointed and specific questions here in just a little bit. We may end up doing that. I haven't incorporated all of the interviews in, but I have a funny feeling I'm going to have to reset the system each time, which is going to suck. So I'm hoping I don't have to do that. Anyways. That's neither here nor there. So what are the red flags that we or law enforcement would deem red flags? And for those that are just coming in and don't know what we're talking about here, Sebastian Rogers, as you know, disappeared from his home on February 26, allegedly, in 2024, almost 2 years ago, and hasn't been seen or heard from since. And so we've been going back to the beginning of this case, and now that we're kind of seeing the positives of AI, I have decided to purchase a program that I can plug all of these interviews into. Now, they're transcripts, right? We're not plugging in links or anything. I've got to download the transcript. I've got to put the transcript in there, and then I've got to produce reports, which today we've got 20 pages that were produced for us for today. And I ask it a bunch of different questions about it. Now, it's keeping a very benign approach to it in a very unbiased manner, which is what we want. So it's very, very hesitant to provide any kind of accusatory language in any of the reports. So I think for what we're doing here, I think that's needed for right now. Now, you guys know how I feel about this case. But again, if we're going to really give this a good shake, we need to remove our own personal biases. And I think that this is a great way to do that. I think that Chris and Katie are highly suspect. You guys know that. We've been talking about it for almost 2 years. So now we're going back to the beginning and we're removing all the noise and we're just trying to listen to straight fact. And that's where these reports are coming in, and I think are being very beneficial and constructive in breaking down this case, which if we had this tool when this case started, I can guarantee you we would have been utilizing this tool when this case started. We didn't have it, or many of us were very unfamiliar with AI that have now been using AI enough that we were comfortable to plug some stuff in and get some reports out and what have you. And that's just all we're doing here, okay? So the next one are going to be law enforcement red flags. Transcripts reveal potential red flags from law enforcement perspective, i.e. the defensiveness, the vague details, the past issues. Chris's combative tone toward critics and media demands public apology, calls JLR a liar without proof, keep my name out of your mouth, as he says on Smiley Stories World interview, very brash, very direct, acknowledges multiple CPS calls. Chris acknowledged even on Smiley Stories World interview that he had, the one in New Mexico and 2 states, right? So we identified 2 states, but it was very vague because he implied 2 states in 2 different states, but because of the way he said it, we almost implied or took it as it was 2 events total, and it wasn't, and that was our fault. We come to find out, it was 2 states. One's New Mexico. He had a protective order, or the Department of Children and Family Services looking into him in New Mexico related to Faith, his daughter, with Nina Gomez, his ex-wife, and then also several times in at their current home. And the way he said it was, in my opinion, intentionally devious. He said it in such a way where he was technically telling the truth, but couched it in such a way that it was misrepresented, or could be construed misrepresented, right? Because he was being truthful. And they also include that the teen was exaggerating the punishment. Katie implies prior cases on the Dutch's first interview. Chris admits the use of the belt, one lick for lying outside of the clothes, and that's according to Smiley Stories World. They're talking about trash bags for cleaning where he threw all of his belongings away, the snake removed for neglect. We also know about Chris's history of the 5 marriages, which, guys, you got to understand, Chris Proudfoot's only 40 years old, okay? Most of us, we get married. I didn't get married until I was in my 30s, right? I was divorced by my 40s. So, whatever. But either way, 5 marriages? 5? That's a lot. So, Chris's history is 5 marriages, custody battles, protective orders, with exes. We know about the battle between Nina and him, the protective orders between him and Nina. It's the last time he saw Sebastian was early February. Chris and Katie are so defensive on checks, no bedtime, peek at the teen after hearing vague noises. They also talk about his pull-ups, which is denied by, with regression, which is denied by his dad. Remember, his dad says, I don't have those problems at my house. Ellie notes parents cooperative, but not vetted, or cooperative, but not cleared, rather, but evasive on details. The doors, the locks, the devices could flag staging or abduction cover. So these are different things. And then, of course, we're going to be looking at some inconsistencies across all these interviews. So far, I plugged in 6 interviews about this. And so it's Sunday's activities. It's the description, BJ's timing, yesterday versus same day, bowling dinner. Details are very slight. Niece drop-off in Chronicles of Olivia. They talk about BJ's and Dushes. They talk about bowling and groceries. Minor recalls, variants, possible embellishment for a happy day narrative. So they believe that might be why, this is suggested by the program, based on, some personality stuff that they're picking up in all these interviews. But it seems like they're embellishing. Why would anybody really be embellishing? Hey, girl, mom. Nero, it's nice to see you. Lover girl, hello. Pebbles, it's nice to see you. The real me too. So why would they be, and this is something you guys need to think about, because we're going to be going through, not tonight, but we're going to go through these lists of these possible meanings, and we're going to throw them back and find out what you think these possible meanings are. Because why would anybody embellish that they're having a good day? If you had a bad day and somebody disappears, you had a bad day and somebody disappears. Why embellish that? And then, of course, we have the noise. Originally, for the better part of 2 or 3 weeks, we were hearing that Sebastian was last seen and heard at 9 p.m. And then all of a sudden, we start hearing this noise at 10 p.m. thrown into the mix. And it extends that, a live time or third party hearing somebody to 10 p.m. versus 9. So the noise 1 hour after bed, 10 p.m., no check, teens privacy versus younger checks. In Smiley 320, the noise, but stated she did not peak. In Chronicles of Olivia, they talk about the noise being at 10 p.m. And the potential meaning of this excuses lack of verification, suggesting unmonitored exit. So it seems like they're embellishing these facts to possibly explain an unmonitored exit, which is different than what we assumed. We assumed that the noise was in case something, for me, I believe the noise, the way it's being referred to, is in case somebody hears something or it's picked up on somebody's camera that's outside of the home, is why I think she brought it up, but I don't know. And of course, Chris saying he hasn't been home since February. He returned 2/26. He even said that on Nancy Grace. He tells Smiley early in February was the last time he was home, never quite telling us exactly when he arrived home. I think it was much later that we heard the last time he was at the home was February 2nd, I believe, maybe, or something like that. So the work alibi gaps, it questions alibi and timing, right? It's questioning his alibi and timing. So this is a critical issue, and we still have no idea really definitively when he was last at the house. But we do know that there were some problems. Katie talks about Sebastian's bedwetting and school issues, and Chris putting him in pull-ups. We heard from his bio dad that Chris handed him all of his underwear. And bio dad denies ever having a bedwetting problem with his son, that his son knows how to use the bathroom at his house. So it appears that this is implied also in Smiley's and Dutch's second Dutch's interview. The potential of meeting this is the family rift, hiding behavioral issues and abuse claims. So it's identifying that this bedwetting could be attributed to abuse, which is, one of the key factors that we always identify it as, right? And then, of course, we hear about the discipline in CPS, and Chris speaks on Smiley's Stories World about the belt. I think, Smiley, you might have to answer this for the chat, but I think you were the first time we had a definitive answer on whether CPS was involved in this family, and I believe that he's the one that told you for the first time that it was the belt. I don't think we heard of the belt up until yours. I think there was some implications that CPS had been by the house or something in prior interviews, but I think it was your interview that they specifically address it. Yes, okay. And so it was about a belt, and he says that he gives Sebastian a lick because he lied about wearing his belt or something stupid, something a child should not be belted over. Okay, forgetting a belt. I don't even know if you do you get punished for that? Everyone else didn't want to ask. Yeah. But, the explanation he gave was because he forgot to wear his belt, and then he later recanted that and said, no, it was because he was lying to him or something like that. And because we were all like, you hit him with a belt because he forgot his belt? Like, we're all scratching our head like, that's a corporal offense now? Like, you get a SWAT for not wearing a belt this day? Like, what the hell is going on? Like Joe Clyde Daniels' case, little Joe peed on the floor and the dad beat him. I know, that's awful. That's just awful. Parents. And that's what's worrying me about this Jonathan bully, What the heck happened to him? But I don't think it's good. So this whole discipline, it minimizes harsh methods, prior reports, and flag abuse risk. The searches and the vigils avoided for security, no parent-led searches, and there were parent-led searches, Seth-led searches, just not Chris or Katie. And, they were talking about the security and crowd, and it's because, and they're flagging this as wanting to avoid public scrutiny, which we know that is the majority of why we're here to begin with. Major variances in common stressors, major like discipline history suggest narrative control, possible staging, because they state that the house was pristine except the messy room of Sebastian's. And they said that is in Smiley's about 35 minutes in, 35 minutes to almost 36 minutes. That was uncovered on Smiley's. So self and contradicting statements. Chris contradicts claims no DV. He admits to mutual protective orders. Vetted and cleared repeatedly, but demands Ellie to publicize that. However, he last saw Sebastian early February, returning February 26th with fresh scratches. Let's not forget that. We got to remember he had fresh scratches up and down both arms. And he blamed it on the dog. Now, Katie, she contradicts herself by saying that she did not check him when she heard the noise because of privacy. Assumed room activity, pull-ups, regression versus bio dad's denial. and no affair or cheating. So there's been some allegations that Katie was having an affair and cheating. We've heard, and I've confirmed, at least with one person that has told me. Now, whether it's true or not, or they're lying, I don't know. But one lady has told me that she was with Chris, and this was in Alabama. And this was when Katie and him were married. So, if she's not lying for attention, which I never brought her on the channel, I just spoke with her. But if everything is true, and she was able to provide me some information, including his work and where her bar was in conjunction to where he was staying, I mean, it does make sense, but nothing that she provided me that was concrete other than that. But she definitely states that she was seeing Chris, very casually, but seeing Chris. So there is that. Chris speaks for Katie. The phone alibi, midnight to 6 a.m. Katie keeps deferring to Chris to answer questions. Both happy home, discipline normal, but traumas, CP, and stepdad fears, rumors, lessons versus Sebastian loved. I don't know what that meant. Contradictions undermine the runaway narrative, suggesting a coordinated story. So this is like they're giving me they're having me read it, and then they're giving me what it could mean. What it could mean. So all of that self-contradicting, the contradictions undermine a runaway narrative. And I think that's important because most of these people are wanting us to believe that he ran away. And even when we plug all this information into AI, without plugging in our biases and other stuff, and it's saying the same thing, that, we're right in our feelings of feeling like something is amiss when it comes to Chris and Katie. I think it's supporting that. It's not, directly accusing them of doing anything. Actually, the majority of the reports say specifically just the opposite, that this does not, have anything to do or confirm that they've harmed this child in any way, except, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it does give us stuff that we can kind of gnaw on for a little bit, because we know that there are contradictions. It's showing several contradictions right here, and it's saying that based on these several contradictions, it undermines this runaway narrative. That's important and crucial, I think, because many of us believe that there are three options here on the table, legitimately, that he truly did run away, that there was a stranger danger, or that this is, a little closer to home. You're getting a little too comfortable coming in here and interrupting my show. Get. Keeps doing it now. I gotta tell her no. No. So, the most logical scenario, stats and LE techniques. Stats say 80% of child abductions are familial. Autistic kids, vulnerable, elopement, the 49% that elope, which Sebastian is not, but non-elopers like Sebastian, flag, foul, play, folks. Did you guys hear that? Elopement, which accounts for 49% of these autistic children, but non-elopers like Sebastian, flag, foul, play. So LE techniques, vetting, canine to retention pond, then lost scent. That's what's stated on Smiley's. Devices clean, no forced entry. Points to staging, internal staging. Hey, Scorpio Moon, it's nice to see you, love. Joyful Dolphin, hey. So that's important. So they're saying that based on these statistics, and the fact that LE techniques is vetting, and then the canines to the retention pond and scent loss, devices are clean, no forced entry, even the system is saying those factors usually equate to points to internal staging. That means that they're staging the scene. Parents cleared but defensive. CPS history fits profile. And this goes to Cadle Killer, strict discipline, absent alibis, which is a true crime author, Sherilyn Cadle. And that's what that is referencing. Because if you're wanting to know what is Cadle's killer or killers, it's referring to an author. So I thought I had to question that myself. I had no idea what Cadle Killers was, and I looked it up, and it was a true crime author, Cheryl Cadle. So logical, accidental harm, tantrum, discipline, covered as a runaway, body hidden beyond. These are some logical scenarios. So I want to read these. I know they're kind of not cohesive with one another, but they're basically stating that, this defensiveness is a problem with the absence of alibi in this really strict discipline principle of Chris Proudfoot. And then logically, the accidental harm, they're saying maybe this was a tantrum or discipline covered as a runaway where the body is hidden beyond the initial search radius. And their stats are saying 74% remains a distance greater than a walking distance of 2 days is where they typically believe in this particular case he may be. So I think that's interesting, right? So this is what it says. It's very uneasy for me to understand, but somebody might take this. It says accidental harm, covered as a runaway, and body is hidden beyond the initial search radius. And I believe the initial search radius was 5 miles? So according to their stats, 74% of the remains are more than, more than the distance walked in 2 days. So I think this is interesting. The distance walked in 2 days. How far could we logically walk in 2 days? We need to be looking out that trajectory for Sebastian, in my opinion. We all felt that he was outside of the radius when they were searching, but we also heard rumors. Now, we got to notate this is a rumor. I do not have concrete information about this, but Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, according to some people, they had a cadaver dog at the storage units by Warsham's, the direction Katie was driving, and around the same area where people allegedly or believes to have seen Kathy Bowersox parked on the side of the road in her personal vehicle. We heard that Unit 10 at the storage unit did have a positive hit for decomp. We also heard as a rumor that was explained away as being potentially a rat or other decomposing wildlife. I am pretty confident that they are trained in human decomp, not animal decomp, which puts off different scents. So I'm not sure if I like the answer to that. And because it was never publicly made, could there have been some misunderstanding from one person to the other? Or was it intentionally to mislead that particular person? I truly do not know. But we did hear that, and I can't plug that into the system because it's not a valid fact. It's rumor, and we're not plugging rumor into the system. But I thought it was enough that I should remind people because people have heard about that. But I like that whole, how far could he have walked in 2 days? We need to look in a radius out that far. And then, of course, Occam's razor, the simplest explanation with the fewest assumptions. And it states parents involved. Chris's alibi via work phone, Katie unchecked night, no abduction evidence, cameras, dogs to pond, vetted outsiders. Staging fits the locked house, the missing flashlight, the shoes being there, and the home being in pristine condition, minus Sebastian's messy room. According to a brief psychological profile provided, it states that Chris is brash and defensive, 5 marriages, custody battles, suggests instability and anger issues. Protective of Katie narrative, but controlling, strict devices, and discipline. He has narcissistic traits based on all of these interviews so far. Demands apology, privacy despite public case, etc., etc. Katie's differential and passive enables Chris. Grief, they believe may be genuine, but evasive. No checks, vague noises, possible codependency, history of violence towards Seth, and of course the CPS reports. Relationship, a blended step family, stress. The bio dad moves, snakes are removed, long distance work strains, phone normal but alibi like. Coordinated defensiveness hints to a meshed cover. So I'm thinking cover up. So we go through a lot of these. When did Katie use the past tense? And there are quite a few of them. We've already went over the ones in the first several interviews. Well, I plugged in Duchess 317 as well as Smiley Stories World of 320. And so I wanted to go over those. It looks like it's kind of got these out of order, but it looks like it does go through all of them. And there are a few that it pulls out of every single interview. So I guess we can just go over these. So in Dutch's 317 interview, Sunday morning we got up and I made a fun breakfast for us. We FaceTime family. We were eating so he could brag while we were eating so he could brag because that's something he likes to do. And we were laughing and joking. We were laughing and joking and having a good time with that. The past tense uses about he could brag. We were laughing and joking. So there are some past tenses that keep being littered. And one thing that I didn't realize because we were listening to all of these interviews, even Chris's account, he's speaking on behalf of Katie. And he was even speaking in more present tense than Katie is. So I think the one thing I'm finding out with this is that even this particular exercise has been focusing heavily on Katie's omissions, Katie's past tense. And it seems like a lot of these really are coming from Katie. He took the trash out because that's his chore. And he come in and he was playing in his room until bedtime. Another statement from Katie. He took the trash out. He was playing in his room. Statement. At bedtime, he goes, okay, good night, Mama. I love you. And then says good night to his puppies and went to bed. He said he went to bed. Slight, nothing major. Statements about nightly routines still phrased as general present tense, but embedded as past in context. Sebastian comes home, gets off the school bus, comes in the house, does his chores, completes his homework, eats dinner. Sebastian gets a shower most of the time before he goes to bed. So that explains that. And this is all, again, that Duchess 317 interview. This is routine description, present habitual, not true past about his status. So it does not count as he had past tense regarding his existence. Statement 5, answering if she checks on him at night. I've never really had a whole reason to. I mean, now he's older, at least. He gets up in the middle of the night and he comes in and gets a snack. But no, I've never, since he's gotten older, I don't really have a reason to peek in on him and wake him up. This is mostly present perfect. He's gotten older. and present habitual. He gets up, not clean past tense about him. So she's always going in and out of these past tenses and present tense, even with, historical stuff. She goes on to state that he's bedwetting, and Sebastian wore pull-ups because when he was having his regression, he had issues where he would wet himself at school, then occasionally get wet himself at night. Sebastian was late to potty training, and he had issues going back and forth with it basically his whole life. Past tense, he was having his regression, and he had issues. He was late to potty training. He was a little, what does it say? Or what she'd changed about Sunday. I had slept outside that boy's door. Would I known I would have made sure to check on him 100 times. When he was little, I would wake up, I'd check on him. Past tense, when he was little and I'd check on him, which sounds pretty normal. So according to Smiley Stories World, pretty terrible to be honest with you, my son is still missing. Is still missing, not past, not counted. Sebastian wore pull-ups because when he was having his regression, he had issues in school where he wetted himself, etc., etc. Same past tense construction he was having. He had issues. Sebastian was late. Statements had recent autism diagnosis. Partial answer in a question about whether he was afraid of Chris. Sebastian had a recent autism diagnosis, but Sebastian has a chromosome deletion that he was diagnosed with when he was a young baby. So Sebastian had a recent autism diagnosis, but uses Sebastian has present tense for his chromosome deletion. Again, past tense, present tense, interchanging here. So I think you guys get this, and I believe the other ones we've already gone over. We can go over those again later in this, but so just to consolidate all of this to you, if the focus is strictly on explicit past tense clauses about Sebastian used by Katie, you can conservatively count clear narrative past descriptions of the day, night he vanished. He took the trash out. He was playing. He said good night. He wasn't there when I woke him up. These occurred in Chronicles, WSMV, Duchess 317, Fox 17, and Smiley's. There are dozens of such verbs, but they are routine chronological past, not grief past. Clear past tense description of his long-term traits, medical history, which are the ones people usually latch onto in past tense discussion. Sebastian was late to potty training, Smiley's and Duchess 317. Sebastian had recent autism diagnosis. He was diagnosed when he was a baby. That's on Smiley's. Those later lines are about past medical facts, not about him being deceased. If you want a hyper literal list of every single past tense verb used about him, we can do that by coding a line by line, and I'm not doing all that, just to let you know. Okay. Can we find any instances from Chris doing the same thing, using past tenses? And there's such a small little amount here that are listed that it's ridiculous. So he wasn't using, I think what we can deduct from all this, it was never Chris using the past tenses. It was always Katie. And while those past tenses aren't describing Sebastian as deceased, there are red flags to us because she's describing a son that is no longer there in some cases, in my opinion. Law enforcement analysis of the 6 transcripts revealed multiple shifts in the Proudfoot's recounting of Sunday, February 25th, 2024, the day before Sebastian vanished. These variations, even minor ones, warrant scrutiny as they could indicate evolving narratives, memory lapses, or deliberate adjustments under pressure. All statements are documented verbatim from transcripts. Every detail listed is relevant to establishing a baseline timeline for potential forensic reconstruction. So let's go over some of these issues that we are noticing. On Dutch's 3-3 interview, key weekend statements: good weekend, vague, out and about, bed 9, noise 10, a mother to bed midnight, missing 6 a.m., no specifics on Sunday, Saturday or Sunday, baseline, no prior. Initial vague accounts lack details, possibly to avoid scrutiny early in the case. Then you go to 3-4, out and about, really good weekend, dinner, evening, home, normal bedtime, unspecified, good night to mom and puppies, later to bed, wakes up at 6, missing, no noise mentioned. Adds really good weekend, omits noise, bedtime is vague, versus prior to 9 p.m. Slight omission of noise, emphasizes normalcy, good weekend is introduced. Fox 13, they were out and about, having a good day. Specifies Sunday out running around, stayed up late, mother's bed by midnight, no noise. Trash, niece, BJ, and bowling were introduced. No noise, trash, niece, BJs, or bowling were added. Expanded activities vaguely, bedtime late versus prior 9 p.m. aligns with mother's sleep with disappearance window, or asleep during the disappearance window. You go over to Katie, same type of statement. However, a lot more is added in. They talk about the fun breakfast. They talk about making the call to the family, picking up the niece, going to BJ's, having the popcorn, taking the snacks home, going to dinner, going to bowling, taking out the trash, and going to bed at 9 p.m., the noise at 10 p.m., and the mother to bed by midnight and 6 a.m. She wakes up. The full itinerary, it seems like, was specified. The first detail sequence, trash, chores, new. Noise, reintroduce, establishes an alibi chain. And then, of course, on Smiley's Story World, confirms Olivia's details implicitly. Dinner, clothes, jeans, tennis shoes, black t-shirt, changed to black pants with white stripe, long sleeves. So this is when it all changed, and more clarification on what he was wearing. It was on Smiley Stories World. The trash and socks was noted separately. Adds clothing specifics, clarifies pants, not sweatpants, but Adidas style, and poster correction. The sweatshirt is long sleeve. Minor, precise attire to match correct flyer, reinforces trash, ties, barefoot in socks, inconsistency. So he was in socks the night before, but left barefoot. Even slight changes merit notation in active missing juvenile investigations, as timeline solidifies victims' last known activities and test witness credibility. Early vagueness, Dutch's and WSMV, evolves to detailed itinerary in Olivia and Smiley's interviews, potentially scripting under public pressure. Noise was heard at 10 p.m., according to Dutch's second, and Olivia, omitted later in the Fox 17 and WSMV, raising questions on why not check. Bedtime fixed at 9 p.m. post Olivia, but late in Fox 17, suggesting initial fluidity. Clothing refinement addresses flyer errors, but pants description shifts from sweatpants to Adidas. Trash chore consistent, but links to barefoot socks variants. Dad, no barefoot since 2. Mom, socks for trash. No single change exonerates this discrepancy. Collective patterns flagged for re-interview. Recommend cross-referencing with LE reports and phone logs. However, we don't have that. And we only have the few witnesses that have come forward so far. The Proudfoot statements evolved significantly from early March, vague, good weekend out and about, to late March, where they had breakfast, picked up the niece, went to BJ's, bowling, dinner, trash, chores. Due to mounting public scrutiny, online sleuthing highlighting initial inconsistencies and pressures from interviews like Nancy Grace on March 25th, early vagueness, the March 3rd through the 7th transcript, shifted as true crime creators dissected timelines, forcing specifics to counter accusations of evasion or staging. So even the system is picking up that they started making these changes in their statement as part of the pressures from the public to try to avoid the accusations of evasion or staging. And they made significant shifts from their original 3-3 to 3-7 interviews. Those 3-3 to 3-7 interviews, if you guys don't remember, are the Duchess' first interview that happened on 3-3, the green shirt interview, which happened on 3-17, or excuse me, 3-4 the very next day, and then you have the hands video on 3-7. So you had 3-3, 3-4, and 3-7, and then they stop interviewing, and then they don't pick up any interviews until after the flashlight video is dropped, and then you get like several more interviews after that. And that happened on the 17th, where Duchess' second interview, Chronicles of Olivia, came out on the 18th, and then Smiley Stories World had them on her show on the 20th. So that's kind of how it is. So they're saying that earlier in the beginning of these interviews and transcripts, they were very vague. And then as true crime creators dissected timelines, forcing specifics to counter accusations of evasion and staging. So that's what they're saying is the reason why these later changes happen. Motivations for changes. Law enforcement would probe these as potential narrative refinement amid backlash. Earlier interviews, Duchess, WSMV, and Fox 17 omitted key events like BJ's, bowling, possibly to minimize exposure during active searches. Later ones, like Olivia Smiley from March 18th through the 20th, added them post-search scale back of March 4th. Aligning with flyer correction, Seth Rogers' separate claims. Analysis note evasive cues, glances, pauses, and unprompted details. The verified call logs at 9:43 suggests coaching or rebuttals to rumors. Very interesting. No official law enforcement confirmation of deception, but pattern flags for polygraph retesting. Noise omission and reintroduction, bedtime at 9 p.m. versus late, clothing tweaks from sweatpants to Adidas-style pants, changes coincide with TBI meeting of March 28, and national attention where parents faced grilling on custody, discipline, and motives. Case remains unsolved. Discrepancies undermine credibility. No new objective facts or physical evidence about Sebastian Rogers' disappearance have emerged at all since he disappeared. Parents reference ongoing searches, dogs, retention ponds drained, no fines, device seizures, all household, school, everything was empty. Okay, thank you. I'll get to it in just a second, Linda. And we're hearing that Channel 5 flashlight has been debunked by TBI and federal law enforcement. No breakthroughs reported. Emphasis shift to expansion, National Guard, out-of-state dogs, caves, drain pipes, no hits, and communities aids like flyers, billboards to Canada from Memphis to, Mexico. Parents note thousands of video hours combed, but zero sightings. TBI Newslink cites up-to-date information confirming that they have no evidence of foul play. I don't believe that that's the case this day and age. The last time we heard from Eric Craddock was back 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago. On April 2nd was the last time he ever gave a public update on this case again. So I'd have to think that with this child being gone for 2 years and no sightings, no evidence is evidence. Absolutely, Lisa B. always. And that's very, very, very important. So no breakthrough reports, emphasis shift on expansion. Again, thousands of hours were combed through. Flashlight, notable mentions. Here's some things. Flashlight, assumed taken. Missing keychain type. Prompted by questions, not discovery. Eyelashes. I don't know why it's saying eyelashes. Vetting parents claim cleared polygraph passed. It's bringing that in because of Chris making such a public statement that he has been cleared, all the parents had been cleared, and all the parents had taken polygraph tests, and they knew specifically that that was untrue. At the time he made those statements several times, he knew that him and Seth, neither one had taken polygraph tests. All updates are procedural clarifications or rebuttals, CPS history, custody, not evidence of advancing the case. Stagnation noted, still stumped after extensive efforts. So I'm going to close out the case, close out this with accounts of the contradictions that we see. So Smiley Story World interview of March 20th shows the most contradictions with earlier accounts. So Chris and Katie Proudfoot provided details here that differ from prior statements in other interviews, such as those with Duchess on March 3rd and 17th, Chronicles of Olivia on March 8th, and WSMV on March 4th. Key contradictions on Sebastian's last interaction with Chris. Earlier interviews state Chris had not seen Sebastian since early February due to work 3.5 hours away, with phone contact maintained. On the March 20th interview, they confirmed this, but add Chris was home at the beginning of February, and saw him then specify Chris was actually home, and yes, he did see Sebastian. Contradictions on Sebastian's habits, shoes, and outdoor behaviors. Katie consistently says in earlier interviews, 3:3 to 3:18, that Sebastian never goes outside without shoes. On March 20th, she directly contradicts. His dad says that he hasn't seen him go outside without shoes on since he was 2. But I, however, have a different experience with Sebastian where he does go outside without his shoes on. There has been several times where he's taken the trash out in his socks. That's interesting. We're going to have to come back to this statement right here because I've got so much to say about that. Other notable shifts over time. Bed check. Early accounts 3:17 and 3:18 omit checking his room at midnight. March 20th explicitly confirms no checks, explaining teenagers' privacy. Pull-ups on March 20th addresses bedwetting and pull-up as regression issued at Katie's house, denying fear of Chris absent or unaddressed earlier. These evolve amid public scrutiny, but highlight the March 20 interviewers' variances. Chris and Katie Proudfoot statements evolve between early March and late March. Early account emphasizes Chris's absence since early February and Sebastian's aversion to going outside barefoot, while later ones introduce new details like barefoot habits and pull-up use. Chris's last in-person time with Sebastian, early March, Chris states he had not seen Sebastian since early February or beginning of February due to out-of-town work. No specifics on seeing him or which time. Late March 17th through the 20th confirms early February was the last time that he saw Sebastian, but adds he was actually home, and yes, he did actually see Sebastian when he was there. Sebastian's shoes and wearing habits, obviously all shoes are accounted for, and emphasis on missing, he wouldn't leave the house barefoot, no mention of barefoot outings. No, they can't. She talks about him going to the garbage can here and there, but she never speaks of him leaving the house without his shoes and socks on. Katie states he does go outside without shoes, and there's been several times he's taken the trash out in his socks, but he's never left the house barefoot. Pull-ups and bedwetting, no mention, no mention, no mention. Then all of a sudden, late March, on Smiley Story World, she talks about him wearing pull-ups for regression. Midnight bedroom check. There is no bedroom check. She never checks for the bedroom. And then early March, Chris appears with fresh scratches and explained later in later interviews as it being new scratches from after he returned home on February 26th, which many of us do not believe happened. So that's kind of where we are with the major interviews. I haven't plugged in any of the other interviews into the system just yet. We've got a lot of stuff over the last 2 years that need to be plugged into the system. Hey, Veronica, thank you. Because I'm a love machine. She gifted 5 Bullhorn Betty memberships for those that received the Bullhorn Betty memberships. Thank you. Welcome to this crazy family we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the insane asylum. Grab your straitjacket in your padded room and welcome aboard. And we are not doing...
All I can say is it's totally fake news. It's just fake. It's fake. It's made up stuff.
Donald Trump loves me so much, he's ready to give me his fortune.
You are fake news.
He's buying me a Bentley next week.
Honestly, it's fake news. It's fake.
I'm buying CNN?
That would be another example of, as you say, fake news.
Oh, good gracious. Oh, good gracious. What are we going to do with this case? And what questions do you have? Do you guys want to try plugging this stuff into the system and seeing what it generates? Because I got to tell you, we have, oh my gosh, I want to have one. Yes, I do. I want to have one. Oh, let me go over to Linda's email. Hold on. Let me see what we got going on here. I almost forgot. Voices of the Truth live stream. Which one's this one?
In Baxter Springs, Kansas. Could this be a place that she rented for a brief period of time? Could this be a place where deliveries were...
Hold on, we're gonna watch this. How long is this? Is an hour? Oh, this is from Voices of Truth. It's from Hindsight.
Happy Kwanzaa, so that
this is an hour long, Linda. I'm gonna have to review this. I'm gonna have to review this and I'll I missed this. I don't know how I missed this. This happened yesterday. I'm sorry, I missed it. I don't know why I'm subscribed. Why didn't I get a notification? I hate when it clicks it to personalized. Guys, if you guys have not, on your app and everything, make sure that your notifications, that's that bell. When you hit the bell, make sure it's set to all. Because mine, even on here, I tell you guys to do that all the time. And even on Hindsight, here on her channel, it was set to personalized. I haven't been getting her notifications at all. At all. I haven't gotten any notification from her. And it's kind of one of those things when you're working and stuff, it's out of sight, out of mind. So if you're not getting those notifications, you're probably not watching the content. So get over there, watch the content. She just dropped something yesterday. They did a live yesterday. It looks pretty good. I'm going to have to listen to it, but I don't know what to do with it right just yet. I can't bring it up on the show just yet. So I hope you guys are learning something from the Sebastian Rogers case. If you guys would like me to deep dive, actually, that's what we'll do tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Friday? That's what we'll do tomorrow. I'll plug in all of the interviews up to a certain point, and then I'm cutting that off. And we'll just start asking it questions. We'll open this up, and whoever has questions for the system, we'll start plugging those questions in and seeing what the system pushes out. I mean, again, it's unbiased, where I'm not putting in my feelings into the system, so it is what it is. But the one thing is it's based on what you plug in. So if we're not plugging in outside criteria, it's not going to pull outside criteria, even if it's factual outside criteria. So you have to plug in the parameters, you got to plug in the instructions, you got to let it know what to do. But I think if you guys want, tomorrow night at 5:00, we'll come back here and that'll be our show. We'll open up the phones and we'll plug in questions to the system and we'll read out what the system comes out. You know, you guys have had questions that you guys have been asking for a while, and there's no possibility of us being, Smiley Stories World was 3 hours. I mean, it was over 3 hours long. It was literally 86 pages transcribed. It was huge. Okay? So there's no possibility that I believe that you guys remember every nuance in that interview on Smiley Stories World. Isn't it great that we don't need to think that we've got a computer that we type stuff in and it's going to spit us out information? I like that. So that's what we're going to do tomorrow. So you guys don't want to miss tomorrow night's live here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. We will open up the phones or open up the panel. We'll do whatever you guys want to do, and we'll start asking the system questions and see what information we find. You know, I don't know what it's going to say, but it's interesting to find out. Oh, thank you, Let Them 66. I love it. I love it. Thank you, Love Bug. Thank you. So start thinking of all the questions that you guys have. You know, it may not have it because, again, it's only got so much information that's plugged in, but we will look at it. So I'm kind of excited. Tomorrow's going to be fun. I hope to see you guys all here at 5:00. Let's give it a good run and just pressure the system. See what comes up. We never know. We might find something that's very interesting. I think we're going to find something. I really do. I think we're going to find something. All right, guys. I want to tell you all to rock it out with your coffee beans out. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. I was wondering what was shaking my thing, and I didn't realize I was still live over here. I shouldn't have been so shaky. Have a great night, guys. We'll see you tomorrow morning. I'm going to take the doggy out because she's been in here at my butt, and she's like, Mommy, Mommy, Mommy. Hey, come here, come here. Come. There she is. There she is. There's the pretty girl. There's the pretty spoiled girl right there. She's the boss. If you guys want to know who the brains of the operation are, she's the boss. This is the little bossy boss. The bossy boss. All right, guys. You guys have a great night. We'll see you guys real soon.